You have people in decision-making positions, the powers that be, and they're trying to corral us into a situation where the only way to use networks and protocols that cannot be controlled, that cannot be censored, is to have us go through gateways that can be controlled, that can be censored, having us register all of our wallets with the federal government, with government agencies, having banks, having exchanges and banks function like current banks. And to own Bitcoin, to own Ethereum, to own some sort of digital asset, it would just be like having a bank account. We would have something, an address unique to us, and all transactions to and from would be tracked. It would be gilded handcuffs. So with the KYC corral that's being erected, one of the outcomes is that there's going to be a much more very distinct difference in the designation and recognition of digital assets. And there's talking about NFTs, not just the art, but the underlying technology and being used for multiple applications. Usage and network tokens on smart contract platforms. So that means every single layer 1 token, like Ethereum, Cardano, etc., every single layer 2 token, Polygon, Uniswap, etc., and then Bitcoin. They will not be the same. So this is the part of the game where we have to sit through and take all the bad news to see all the ways established interests are using the tools at their disposal to be able to try and kill a disruptive technology, to be able to try and close the exit hatch, to try and eliminate the alternative and keep people locked in this system. Problem is it won't work. It's open source protocol. It's global in nature. It's playing whack-a-mole. You can knock it down in one place, but it's going to pick up somewhere else. Trying to suppress something that enables the human spirit is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You're going to expend energy, resources, and time trying to keep it underneath that water, but eventually it's going to rise to the surface. It cannot be stopped. It's tragic that so many people have politicized Bitcoin and their view of it just neutrally as a technology platform is skewed and clouded by these other narratives and biased views. Because when you take a step back, you take away price go up and you just look at it solely as a software technology and as a software platform, a technology platform, you see the experimentation going on with new developments and new ideas, and we'll soon see the iterations of, hey, you can do this. What else can we do? How can we make this better? It'll be interesting to see. You have a CBDC, a payment platform, a digital payment platform, or a network. Governments say we accept it. Well, guess what the incentive for adoption is going to be? Hey, Venmo, hey, PayPal, hey, any other payment platforms, Visa, MasterCard, if you accept payments, it's just another way to monetize payments and earn a buck. They don't care about the whys, the hows, the potentials for abuse, for social control. It's just a business decision. It's an economic one. And then a lot of people, they'll use it because for the same reasons. They don't care about privacy. They don't care about controlling their data. And if there's not a lot of social friction, if the current vocal minority about this does not grow, eventually they're going to get snuffed out by adoptive users. The thing is that most people, when they look at Bitcoin, they look at the asset. They look at the price. They don't look at its characteristics. They don't look at how the network functions, how the protocol functions. And because all they're looking at is the price, that's why so many of them get burned. Because if they ignored that and just looked at the protocol and the characteristics and understood it, the net result would be they would never sell and they would just keep accumulating it. As these new waves of adopters of Bitcoin, whether it be just through derivative price chasing function or through custodied accounts, these are people that aren't going to be into the tech, into the freedom as the earlier adopters are. And you're going to have within these masses, these new waves of people, the people who are into the adoption, who are into the freedom tech, who are into the principles and the sound money bases. But the numbers will be small. The majority of people will just be either chasing the price action or just looking to have custodied exposure. A big question will be, how many people of that crowd will it click how important self-custody is, and how if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin, and why it's important. Here's a good point. People acquiring Bitcoin isn't just going to be people going on an exchange or people going to an ATM or some sort of onboarding service. It's people selling everyday stuff in exchange for Bitcoin, and that's how they will acquire Bitcoin. I hadn't thought of that, but I just heard it mentioned and thought, yep, that may be the path to full stream adoption. Is it possible that all these crackdowns on different crypto exchanges are for the sole purpose of to manipulate the price of Bitcoin in the same manner that the price of gold is manipulated as a proxy for the value of fiat currencies? What if the same applies for Bitcoin, where the big players and the established interests in the current monetary system are doing so with the same objective, to kill Bitcoin as a proxy against fiat currencies, and also to be able to manipulate the price to make it easier to earn a buck or two? But if this is the case, we're not going to see a BlackRock ETF approval until Binance has been kneecapped, just because it's such a huge proxy for the price of Bitcoin. I think that one of the major threats we need to be mindful of on the horizon is, what if you have your money in a major too big to fail bank? You might think, well, if my money is in that bank, if I'm using that bank for banking services, it's protected from failure. However, what if, say, down the road, because it's so large and because there's so much capture and so much relationship with agencies and the federal government, that a CBDC that's either implemented or going to be implemented plays a role in that, where one day you get a notification that your bank account will be changed over to the new CBDC per legislative order, and the end result is your money ends up getting converted to programmable, trackable money. Something to think about. One thing I can say is that I stick to my points that we can guarantee the devaluation of each unit of US dollars. Where in devaluation, it's going to cost more of those units of currency to buy the same thing, aka prices are going up. The other thing is that in a multi-polar, multi-currency world, what will happen with the US dollar is that we're going to see signals along the way in its decline, where interest rates will have to be higher than anticipated because no one's buying the bonds. We're going to see bond sales not meet expectations. We're going to see price pressures because the US government has a harder time raising money to pay off existing debts, existing interest, and pay for new expenses. The pressures will reach a point and we will see headlines and video titles that point this out, that the government is having a harder time selling the bonds and affording the money, and they're going to be forced to either increase the devaluation by continuing to print, which will accelerate the devaluation of US dollars, or restrain spending on certain things because of limitation of resource allocation. Be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.